For 37 years, we'd lived under one roof, Mom, my older sister Emily, and me. Or rather, under 3 different roofs, because the house on Lakeview Drive had long stopped feeling like a single home. It had split into territories, mine, with books, coffee, and empty violet pots, Emily's, with her flawless hardwood floors, antique furniture, and the scent of lavender, and Mom's quiet corner in the living room, where she more often stared silently out the window. But that day, everything collapsed. "You had no right to read her mail," Emily shouted, standing in the middle of the kitchen, her face twisted with rage. "And you had no right to hide the will," I shot back, gripping the folded paper in my hand. The mail had arrived that morning, a standard envelope sealed with the insignia of a law firm. I'd opened it because the name on the envelope was written in my handwriting, the same script Mom had asked me to teach her when she first learned to write her name in English. For official forms, she'd said. But inside wasn't just a document. It was a confession. If you're reading this, then I'm gone. Or I was forced to leave. Emily knows why. Ask her to tell you the truth. Or don't. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie. Signed, Linda Carver. May 12, 2025. Mom had vanished 3 days earlier. She'd simply packed a suitcase, left a note, "I need to think," and disappeared without a call, a text, or a trace. Only this envelope remained in the mailbox, as if she knew we'd find it. "She always trusted you," I told Emily, "and you betrayed her." I was protecting her. Emily grabbed her coffee mug and hurled it into the sink. Porcelain shattered. "You don't understand anything." "Then explain it to me." She fell silent, looking at me with such pain that for a moment I felt like that little girl again, the one who'd once watched her older sister cry for the first time. "No," she said quietly. "Not now." And she walked out. Emily and I were never close, not in the way sisters are in movies. No shared sleepovers, whispered secrets under blankets, or secret codes. Only competition, for Mom's attention, for the better grade, for the right to sit at the head of the table. But there was one childhood rule: no one hurts Mom. Dad left when I was 5. He left only a long shadow and a few photos in an album. Mom raised us alone, first as a hotel cleaner, then working 2 jobs, then 3. Emily always claimed she was the first to notice how thin Mom had gotten, how her hands trembled in the mornings. "I took care of her," Emily would say whenever I asked why she never let me help. "You controlled her, I'd correct her." But feelings, those were all I had left. I started digging. First stop, the law firm. The envelope came from Harper and Lawson. I called. The receptionist politely explained that for ethical reasons, they couldn't disclose information without a written request from the closest relative. "I'm her daughter," I said. "We have 2 daughters listed in our system. We need a joint request." "Emily won't sign." "Then, ma'am, there's nothing we can do." I hung up. Second stop, Mom's room. I searched every drawer, closet, even the mattress. Nothing. Just old letters from Dad that she'd kept like sacred relics. Third stop, her computer. I knew the password, my birthday. Her email was empty. Documents held only old prescriptions and clinic records. But in a folder labeled Finance was a file titled Copy. Do not lose. It was a scan deed. Not to us. Not to me or Emily. But to the New Life Charitable Foundation. Date, April 3, 2025. Signature, Linda Carver. Witness, Emily Carver. "You sold her house?" I burst into Emily's home without knocking. She sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea. The kids were at school. Her husband, at work. "Not sold," she said calmly. "Donated." "For what?" "For her safety." "What safety?" She stood and walked to the window. Behind her, a perfect garden, trimmed like a magazine cover. "Mom started losing her memory 2 years ago," she said. "You didn't see it because you only looked at yourself. I lived with her. But you didn't notice." She turned to face me. Her eyes were dry, but her voice trembled. "She forgot how to cook. Forgot how to turn off the stove. Firefighters came twice. You didn't know because I turned off the gas while you slept." I stayed silent. She started confusing us. "Called me you. Called you sweetie. And then Anne. Who's Anne? Dad's first wife. The one he left for Mom. The ground slipped from under my feet. You thought it was just old age? She continued. It wasn't just Alzheimer's. It was fear. She was terrified she'd be left alone again. That we'd abandon her, just like he did. Then why give away the house? Because the foundation promised to take her into a care home. Free. For life. With nurses. With safety. But she didn't want to leave. She couldn't stay. We fell silent. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. Because you wouldn't have handled it. You'd cling. You'd cry. You'd beg her to stay. And she needed to go quietly. Without tears. Without drama. And the will. She wrote it herself. Without me. I didn't even know it existed until you ripped it from my hands. Then why didn't you show it? Because, she looked down. Because it didn't say what I wanted. What did it say? She pulled the same sheet of paper from a kitchen drawer. Smoothed it on the table. Read it yourself. I picked up the page. My heart pounded. If you're reading this, then I'm gone. Or I was forced to leave. Emily knows why. Ask her to tell you the truth. Or don't. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie. The house wasn't what mattered. It was just a place. But you, my girls, are my best parts. I love you both. Even when you fight. Even when you don't understand each other. Emily, you're my strength. My wall. You've always protected us. But stop carrying everything alone. Sometimes letting yourself be weak is its own kind of strength. Claire, you're my heart. My eyes. You see what others refuse to notice. But stop hiding behind your feelings. Sometimes you have to act. I leave you every photo, every notebook, every recipe. Share them equally. Don't fight. Remember, I'll always be between you. And if you ever speak to each other again, tell them I loved you until the very end. Mom. I looked up. Tears streamed down my face. Emily was crying too, quietly, without sound. She went to a care home in Vermont, she said. The place where Dad first saw her. She has her own garden. Her books. And we can visit her. Why didn't she tell us? Because she was afraid we wouldn't let her go. We sat in silence for a long time. Then I asked, you thought I couldn't handle it? I knew you couldn't. And now? No. I'm not sure. I stood and walked to her. I hugged her for the first time in 20 years. We'll handle it, I said. Together. We drove to Vermont a week later. Mom sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, reading. When she saw us, she smiled. She didn't recognize us right away, but she knew our voices. My girls, she whispered. You came. We sat beside her. Emily held her hand. I held her shoulder. I'm sorry I didn't say goodbye, Mom said. I was just tired of being a burden. You were never a burden, I said. We just didn't always know how to help, Emily added. Mom closed her eyes. Sunlight played in her silver hair. You always helped, she said. Just in different ways. We stayed until sunset. We sold the house on Lakeview Drive. Split the money 3 ways. 1 share for Mom's care, 2 for us. Emily and I didn't move in together. But we started talking on the phone, over coffee, then over dinner. One day she said, you were right. I controlled everything. And I hid behind my feelings, I replied. We both changed. Mom passed away 8 months later. Quietly. In her sleep. With a book on her chest and a smile on her lips. At the funeral, we stood side by side. No words. But our shoulders touched. Today, I sit in my new home, smaller than before, but cozy. On the wall hangs a photo, the 3 of us. Mom in the center. Us on either side. I take an envelope. Write, for Emily. Inside, a copy of Mom's final letter. And a note from me. Sometimes the truth isn't what causes pain. Sometimes the truth is what heals. Thank you for sharing it with me. I dropped the envelope in the mailbox. And for the first time in a long while, I feel we're home.